I was trying to decide what is it that I need to tell you about METLEN today, just to, first of all, keep you awake, and second, to give you with clarity what is it that we do at METLEN. And I decided that it's a good idea, after so many transformations, to explain what is it that we do now and our plans for the future. So I'm truly happy to be here with you in New York. I think there's a lot more people this year, and good for you. Nicola and Olga, thank you for having us one more time. We're meeting at a time of great change for economies, for industries, and of course for the global energy landscape, as we've heard a little bit before from the previous panelists. As many as probably you know, METLEN Energy and Metals is today a London-listed multinational company, active in more than 42 countries across 5 continents, and we are employing more than 10,000 people. We operate where two totally different worlds meet, the world of energy and the world of metals, both, of course, very essential to global stability and, of course, to global prosperity. Our fully integrated model connects energy and metals into one value chain, allowing us to unlock value from multiple sources, enhance efficiency, and of course, build long-term resilience. In 2024, METLEN achieved a consolidated turnover of almost 6 billion euros and an EBITDA of 1 billion euro, which reflects our strength, our energy, our balance, and of course, the diversified business model that we have had. Today, METLEN stands as Europe's only one vertically integrated aluminum producer, covering the entire chain from bauxite mining to alumina refining to primary aluminium production within the EU. We're also one of the European companies active across the full energy chain, from power generation to renewables to grid infrastructure, energy storage, and of course, digital solutions. Furthermore, the company is expanding its activities in both circular metallurgy and critical metals, while we're also strengthening the strategic footprint in the defense industry. On defense, we are moving very, very fast. Right now, we produce hundreds of advanced defense systems a year, operating as a subcontractor manufacturer for state-of-the-art defense platforms. The defense platforms include frigate parts, the Patriot missile system, as well as Leopard 2, the main battle tank. And our manufacturing lines are running at this point at a maximum capacity, but this is not where the story, at least in defense, we call it M technology, to be precise. The story does not end. The story just now begins. To support the new demand, METLEN is already constructing new production lines, the first of which will be operational within months at our defense hub at M Technologies in the central Greece. In parallel, what we do is we're expanding our supply chain cooperation with leading US manufacturers and European system integrators focused on air defense, heavy metallurgy, and strategic infrastructure for next-generation platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, we meet at a time where the world is reorganizing itself and reorganizing the spheres of resilience. METLEN is already acting on that mandate. By 2028, METLEN will produce 50 metric tons of refined gallium a year, the metal that sits inside smartphones, advanced semiconductors, radars, and of course, missile guidance electronics. Just a small number for the US economy, since we had a meeting this morning. we will be producing 50 tons of gallium per year, starting at the end of 2027, beginning of 2028. And United States is producing 30 tons per year, just to understand where we are. The investment for us is not symbolic, as you probably understand. It's really a foundational one. The world needs more capacity. The US needs more partners, and that needs to scale output, de-risk supply, unlock regional corridors, and of course deliver new projects at double speed. In parallel, what we also do, along with defense and gallium, is we accelerate the secret metals platform. Basically, what we do is we're scaling advanced metal recovery, recycling, and high purity secondary metals production for various users, including, of course, aerospace, electrical vehicles, and, of course, defense applications. Across the world, METLEN's energy transition platforms brings together more than 12 gigawatt of renewable and storage projects, which are under development or under construction as we speak. And those projects are in Europe, of course, UK, to Australia, Chile, North America. Our teams are everywhere, and they do deliver complex projects that power communities, and of course, they drive long-lasting growth. We also continue to strengthen our position in the natural gas market. We've heard a little bit about gas before. METLEN is steadily expanding our presence in the gas market in Southeastern Europe. And we do that through natural gas supply, but also trading. METLEN has been off-taking and transmitting American LNG cargoes into Southeast Europe, strengthening regional energy security through a flexible and a very fast-moving trading model. Actually, I think my colleague Yannis Papazoglou, who is here with me, was telling me that yesterday we received one very, very big bulk of American LNG that was triggered to go to Bulgaria. So it's not that we do it only for the Greek needs, but also for the area. American LNG is not just a fuel for us. It's a backbone for our growth, but also our security. So globally, METLEN operates 0.8 gigawatt of energy storage systems. We have an additional 3.1 gigawatt under construction. This expertise that we have positions us as a trusted partner for utilities, for, of course, corporate off-takers, and for governments in building the flexible, resilient energy networks that the future demands at the right price, of course, because sometimes, you know, we're here and we're talking about all this very nice and fancy stuff, but we need to keep in mind that price, either for industries or for the consumer, is what really plays a role. So we're also leveraging our expertise in data centers infrastructure, having recently completed Greece's largest facility for digital realty. We explore opportunities. We explore opportunities even here in the United States with developers and operators across North America. We definitely in Canada, we have already a big investment there, but now in US too. So what really gives us a real advantage is the way our two worlds that I told you in the beginning, energy and metals, work together. Basically, they complement, but also at the same time, they reinforce each other, and they create synergies that only a few companies in the world at this point can replicate. So METLEN brings all of that to this partnership today, critical mineral production, manufacturing capacity on the defense sector, and of course, a secure Southeastern European supply gate from raw material to defense platforms to LNG corridors to semiconductors-grade metals. We are delivering all of that globally. And earlier this year, during our Capital Day market, before our entrance to London Stock Exchange and Fuji 100, our executive chairman, Mr. Vangelos Mytilineos, shared METLEN's next chapter, which is our strategic path for, it's the map, basically, for the years ahead. And it's basically a structure and a plan that has three different priorities. First is to strengthen our core businesses in energy, metals, in infrastructure and concessions. This is something that we know very, very well. We've done it very successfully for a number of years, so this is just to keep it up. Second is to expand into new high-growth areas, as we do already, the critical and the circular metals, and of course the advanced defense technologies. So build on the ones that we already do, but do more. And of course, third, to continue evolve from within and mainly becoming better, and especially in efficiency, in digital innovation, and above all is to have the best people. So as METLEN continues to grow internationally, and I need to tell you that it's not an easy job, but we're enjoying it. It's a wild ride, but we like it. Our values also travel with us. They guide us how we work with partners, investors, communities, honestly, respect, and a shared purpose of creating synergies and opportunities is what keeps us going. If I could capture our essence in simpler terms, from Athens here to New York and from metals to megawatts, METLEN is ready to play our part, its part, in building a more secure, a more cleaner, a more smarter, and a more resilient world. And we don't just say that, we mean every single word of what we say. We do that by bringing our experience, our people, our partnership here in the US, and we look forward to continue this journey together. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to HELLENiQ this year. Olga, Nicolas, thank you very much for one more year of hosting this incredible event. Our topic for today is building Greece's energy future, renewables, power, and new opportunities. We have with us a stellar panel. We have Konstantinos Mavros, the Deputy CEO, PPC Group, and the CEO of PPC Renewables. Mr. Vassilis Tsaitas, the CFO of Hellenic Energy Holdings. Mr. Paschalis Bouchoris, the non-executive chairman of DESFA. For those that don't know the acronym, DESFA is the Hellenic Gas Transmission System Operator. And of course, Sitzoglou, Managing Director, Investment Banking Division of AXIA Ventures Group, a leading investment bank in Greece. I'll start with Mr. Mavros. PPC Group has evolved over the last few years into the most important regional player in Southeastern Europe. Mr. Mavros, can you share with us what is your strategy for the future?
Yeah, thank you very much. And I'm very glad being here for a few consecutive years now, and congratulations for this great event, bringing us all together. So, yes, indeed, we live in an era where PPC has been delivering on the energy transition. However, I want to be a bit provocative on this and state that we're not talking anymore about energy transition itself. We are all speaking about energy addition, and this is about adding capacity to a more and more electrified world as time goes by. So from 2019 up until now, PPC Group has delivered on lignite phase out. So within a very short period of time, we'll be proud to say that there is no lignite anymore, no more fossil fuels. And this is what we had to do for two reasons. One is the contractual part, we all know the conventions and stuff, and the other is the financial performance of the group itself. So we are having a plan of transforming fully a traditional utility, as it was 7 years ago, to a modern utility and power tech. And by power tech, we define a company or a group encompassing geographies and encompassing different technologies looking at the future. And this is our strategy. So speaking and trying to define both in terms of geography and in terms of technologies, our strategy lies within the area of Southeastern Europe. And this is an energy corridor, a part of a potentially unified electrical space within Europe, and we view the Southeastern corridor, Greece being within that, as an important part of the European electrical space. So we are present at the moment in 6 geographies: Greece, Romania, Bulgaria, Italy, Croatia, and we are moving towards integrating all this region within our strategy. So today we operate plants in these geographies, and we are planning to expand simultaneously with all our group functions. As we speak, we are having a plan of investing more than 10 billion euros by 2028, out of which 60% will be devoted to more renewables and, of course, flexible generation. Having mentioned flexible generation, this is a very important part of our strategy. Why? Because building renewables, there is a lot of stochastic nature of production. So being number one in Greece and Romania in generation and having positioned ourselves being a main utility in the region, we need to devote a lot of our resources to build flexible generation in both traditional batteries, lithium, traditional technologies, and of course, pumped storage and other technologies to be adjacent to our main investment plan. So again, our strategy on generation lies on renewables, flexible generation, and in terms of technology, we will be keeping investing towards the AI era, which is already here. And how do we do that? We are building a modern power tech, investing heavily in all generation to support the electrification of the economy, and of course, to support the upcoming data centers in Europe. We are all seeing what's happening in the States, and this is going to come into Europe, and we want to be ready and maybe to be the first to be able to support such an investment scheme. I'll stop here for the moment.
Thank you. Vassili, to you, Europe has been on an aggressive path for energy transition, and Greece has been on the forefront of developments, reaching approximately 50% of RES participation in the electricity mix. Does this course remain relevant given the various policy shifts in some developed countries and others that still have energy consumption growing?
Good morning to all. Thank you very much, Konstantinos, for the question. Many thanks to HELLENiQ for having me one more year. So it is true that Europe has been the pioneer in terms of energy transition globally. It was the first set of jurisdictions that embarked on this journey, and since then has been leading the path and leading towards that trajectory. That was, it has done so for good reasons. You had pressure on the social side on the one hand, and the other, which is more important, I think, was the lack of domestic resources. So it was also an avenue towards energy autonomy. What has not been properly done when this was being designed and implemented was, I guess, the fact that the cost was not properly explained to societies and to the commercial users as well. And that, combined with the lack of coordination with the rest of the world, had an impact on competitiveness, on European competitiveness, even way before the crisis started, the recent energy crisis. So when, the last three and a half years that we saw the energy European crisis unfolding as a result of the Russian invasion on Ukraine, this lack of competitiveness was highlighted in a very emphatic way. And as the crisis subsided, this gap of competitiveness remained. Now that the rest of developed jurisdictions are moving towards a different path, especially US over the last year or so at least, Europe is still moving. You have this, I would call it, policy inertia that is still moving in the same direction. However, this competitiveness gap is widening. As the new theme for Europe is now becoming resilience, on top of energy transition, you have resilience, which, as far as energy business is concerned, effectively means an effort to reduce or eliminate dependence from resources that are not trusted anymore. And obviously, resilience, it sounds nice, right? Everybody wants to be resilient. However, this is disguising, again, a higher cost. So while geopolitics matter and Europe should react to that, it has to be designed in a way that we need to make sure that this makes economic sense. If you favor investments right now that in the long run they don't make economic sense, you run the risk of either wasting resources or widening even more this competitiveness gap. Now, as far as Greece is concerned, renewables account for around 55% of participation in the energy mix. So certainly, Greece has come a long way, and we're still looking for ambitious targets in the future. However, you have the risk of looming overcapacity. It's already happening with lost production of around 15 to 20%, at least for the photovoltaic technologies. You have lack of regulatory flexibility, especially in terms of storage. For example, you have other countries where you don't have to build standalone batteries and need to wait forever to get behind the meter storage systems. I mean, you do build the storage systems together with generation and can have full flexibility about the way you use them in order to avoid, again, long time in terms of implementation and lost resources. If we go outside renewables, it was also mentioned in the previous panel, you have geopolitical developments that are favoring the role of Greece as an energy hub. But I guess, once again, we have to highlight the fact that, given that those investments, they are very long-term, we're looking at 20 years plus of investment horizons, we need to make sure that they make economic sense in the long term. Thanks.
Thank you, Vassili. Paschalis, to you. We see Greece evolving into a regional energy hub on the basis of recent announcements, as everybody has followed. How do you see investments in the energy sector in Greece, but also more broadly in the context of today's geopolitical developments, but also emerging needs such as the ones related to AI?
Thank you, Konstantinos. Good morning or good afternoon already to everybody. Thank you to the organizers, to Nicholas and to Olga Bornozis. We come here today with, to pitch the Invest in Greece story with some confidence. It has been the case always. I remember when I was here before, it was many years ago, and we had anything but confidence to talk about investing in Greece. So congratulations to the organizers for doing this for so many years and being persistent. It must be a love of labor. To your question, I'm not going to repeat what very eloquently was covered in the previous panel. Indeed, Greece seems to be establishing itself as a confident energy hub in the region and beyond, in line with Europe's plan to become energy independent from Russia by 2027, which is not an easy thing. Greece has a number of energy sources that are very additive to this European transformation, not only its stock of renewables, solar in particular, but also being the LNG gateway, DESFA, the organization I represent today, has a big part of this infrastructure, the Vithousa terminal, 20% of the Alexandroupolis FSRU, and about 1,500 kilometers of pipelines, along with all the operations and that need to run this in a safe, secure, and efficient way. But you also see recent announcements around the commercial partnerships with US, Greek, and even Ukrainian companies around LNG. You see very bold new electricity interconnection plans with neighboring countries in the Eastern Mediterranean. And you also see some very exciting new investment plans around carbon storage, carbon transmission, and other decarbonization technologies. So it's a good energy mix. Importantly, it's not only something that strengthens Greece geopolitically, but if you look at it just as a stock of investments, I don't recall, oftentimes in the modern history of Greece having so many concentrated investments in one sector, even beyond energy. So we're talking about mobilizing private capital at scale. We're talking about FDI. We're talking about international investors, US energy giants like Chevron and ExxonMobil in the explorations, but also attracting European public funds and grants. A month ago, DESFA was awarded about 170 million of a grant to build something called Apollo CO2, which is the first CO2 transportation network in Greece, which is going to help the decarbonization targets of heavily emitting industries in Greece. This concentration of public policy, policy choices, and the activity of market actors seems to be paying off. Again, coming back to DESFA, our capacity for Vithousa is now fully booked for 10 years until 2026. So the market has showed a lot of interest. Lastly, you asked about the relation with AI. Again, AI needs tremendous computing power. If you look at what are the constraints for the further deployment of AI, there are access to advanced microchips, permitting for data centers, and procuring affordable energy and connecting to the electricity grid. On one hand, you have China. In a centrally planned way, they're building data centers. They're using all available sources of energy, from coal to nuclear, pretty much. And of course, they have something like 70% of market share in the manufacturing of all enabling technologies, from critical minerals to anything needed for PV and wind and batteries. On the other hand, you have the US embracing this vision of energy addition and energy abundance, certainly not subsidizing renewables and other sectors, not favoring any technologies, but going full guns in any available source of energy. You have Europe in between, which doesn't have the energy, especially if you need to transition by 27 away from Russia. So any addition that we can provide through Greece should be very relevant and instrumental in also Europe's embracing of AI technologies.
Thank you, Vassilis. Thank you very much. Harry, to you, you have the opportunity to sit in a very unique position. You see international investors looking into opportunities in Greece, and you advise in a series of leading transactions. So please give us the international investors' lens in the energy transition space, and what is the macro thesis for the country at the moment?
Thank you. Thank you, Konstantinos, and thank you for the invitation. I think, listen, I will try to be brief, and maybe I'll echo some of the things we heard fellow panelists. I think when we're talking to investors and building the thesis for the country, where they're, things revolve around three main pillars, I'd say. Number one is we heard a lot about Greece being an energy hub, right? We heard a lot about it. Greece is interconnected, both from a molecule perspective, from an electron perspective. I think this is very important. It's the strategic location. I think the second thing is the proven political stability in the country has helped a lot. I think that the supportive lending environment, the banks, have helped a lot make progress. Investments make sense. Investments are actually profitable for these investors looking into the country. And I think the third pillar is, for the first time, and I think actually I'll build on something that Paschalis said, for the first time, I think we see in this sector in Greece sizable investments. I think for these big global investors, it makes sense to see projects that are sizable, both when they're investing in corporates, but also when they're investing in projects. And I think they're also scalable projects, right? I think this is the three main pillars, I think, that when we're advising and helping to build the thesis around the country, we focus on.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you very much. We're going to go into around two questions for the panel. I'll ask all my fellow panelists to keep this to approximately 2 minutes so we can keep our time. So, Konstantine, tell us a little bit more about technology and energy and how these converge for PPC. I think that's a very interesting topic.
Yeah, thank you again. And I'll try to put it, to set it out in a three-pillar approach. So today we are speaking and we are feeling the importance of the 3 Gs, as I like to say. So we're talking about gigapowers, we're talking about gigawatts, and we're talking about gigabytes. And all these coincide and create a future that electricity will be very much needed. So again, I want to stress out that what we see today happening in the States will be very soon happening in Europe. So the question is, all this electricity that we need to produce and all this electricity that we need to support data centers and AI, who is going to support all this scheme? So in PPC, we believe very much that transforming this group into a modern power tech will be serving the future, and we are doing this now. So what we are doing now is we are building generation capacity, so we are adding capacity, and we have a very ambitious plan for a data center in northwestern Greece that will encompass and accommodate all the future needs. And this is exactly our main core strategy on the power tech part.
Thank you, Konstantinos. Clear. Vassili, Hellenic Energy has completed its 2020-2025 strategy cycle and is on track to updating its plans for the future. What are your priorities for the years to come?
Thank you, Konstantinos. As you rightly mentioned, we successfully completed our strategy plan Vision 2025. That we designed 5 years ago. It was a radical change in the way that we run our business, mostly in terms of capital allocation. What we have achieved over the last 5 years is establishing a material second pillar in the energy business. We call it green utility, which is the aggregation of our renewables business that we sized up to 0.5 gigawatt out of zero a few years ago, as well as Enerwave, XL Pedison, that we acquired the 50% that we did not own last summer that we completed the acquisition. So that's a material business. At the same time, we clarified our gas and power position. We sold down our minority stake in DEPA Commercial and DEPA Infrastructure, and the proceeds of close to $500 million out of those 2 transactions were the main driver of funding our growth in the green utility business. And all in, you're looking at a group which has increased this EBITDA profitability baseline to around $1 billion. At somewhat lower refining margins, it is a bit lower. At this year's margins, it's actually going to be somewhat higher, which is, if you compare the group a few years ago, it's 50% higher of the run rate 6 to 8 years ago, and 2.5 times higher if you look 10 or 15 years ago. So as we're looking to design the next 5 years and beyond, we're looking to keep a balanced approach between our downstream business and our green utility. We plan to invest around more than 3 billion of growth capex on the two business. Around 60% will go to the green utility, around 40% of that will go to downstream. In downstream, a change versus the last few years is looking at investments in refining complexity, because we believe that our products will be in demand for several decades to come. Certainly decarbonization, sustainable fuels, mostly sustainable aviation fuel, that there is also a regulatory mandate. Expanding our international footprint, our networks in the Balkans that have been growing. We want to pursue further growth either in markets that we have existing presence, or also consider opening up to new markets. Our international trading franchise that we set up in Geneva, which is up and running right now, will support the commercialization of additional production and additional volumes, and enhance our export orientation and profitability for the export volume, which is currently around 60% of our business. And last but not least, certainly on our green utility, we plan to more than double the EBITDA contribution in the next 5 years through an aggressive investment plan, mostly outside of Greece, in places like Romania and Bulgaria, that we already starting developing our new projects with returns which are much higher versus the first gigawatt of establishing ourselves, because of technological diversification, early development stage, as well as geographic diversification. Thank you very much, Konstantinos.
Thank you, Vassili. Paschalis, what's the role of gas infrastructure in DESFA, in particular in promoting Greece's and the region's energy security and transition?
I think we've covered most of it. Maybe 3 highlights. DESFA is a privatized company. Is 34% owned by the Hellenic Republic, and 66% is an international consortium led by the Italian transmission system operator, the Spanish, and the Belgian one. So it's a truly multinational European platform that, you know, in addition to its role in running the domestic gas infrastructure network, has a leading role in the so-called vertical corridor, the connection of our infrastructure with this of Bulgaria, Romania, Moldova, and Ukraine, with a westward expansion plan through Slovakia and Hungary into the center of Europe. And that's a very important initiative under the strong leadership of the Greek government, with a strong engagement of the US administration. We hosted within a couple of months or 3 months twice Secretary Bergum, Secretary Chris Wright. Again, I don't recall in recent history so many senior officials from the US administration coming into Greece. That's the best underwriting of the increased geopolitical role and investment role of the nation in the sector. The third point, I would say that DESFA is a major energy investor. We are implementing a 1.4 billion 10-year investment plan. Importantly, a lot of this money goes in the periphery of Greece, on the countryside. A lot of this is employment and investments in you know, the borders of Greece almost. We inaugurated a month ago the compressor station in Komotini, which increases the capacity, the export capacity of gas to 8.5 billion cubic meters from 0 5 years ago, which gives you an indication of what is going on in pivoting into an export orientation of the country. And of course, if the explorations go well that the previous panelists discussed about, this would be a total game changer for Greece, coming from the angle of the natural gas. So a lot of good things are happening, important for both the country and Europe.
Thank you, Paschalis. Harry, to you, at AXIA, what is your thesis around renewables and energy transition, deal-making in the country, and what are you doing to capture these opportunities?
Yeah, thank you. I'll be brief. I think for the first time in 2025, we saw more than 10 transactions of size in the broader energy transition spectrum. That's the first one for the country. And I think the themes are very quickly, probably 3 themes. I think theme number 1, we see a capital rotation. We see a lot of early entrants in the renewable space, developers, locals or international, who actually, did the hard part maybe, and move these projects through the development process. Some get grid connection, some took their construction risk, and now they're rotating out, and we see the entering of longer-term capital, yielding, let's say, yield investors. Second is the in-market consolidation. There's a long tail of smaller players, family-owned businesses that have no succession, some international investors who actually didn't manage to grow. So these folks are moving out. And the third one, I'd say, we see also a regional platform formation. Obviously here we have PPC, we have HELLENiQ that are doing that, but also there's some other IPPs that are looking to grow using Greece as the headquarters and having a regional thesis. So I think that's what we see here. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Wrapped up. Nicola, to you, thank you very much for having us. We're on time. Thank you.